Man2Man podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Chapman, alongside my co-host,
Carson Chapman.
And we're two brothers who are going to be talking man-to-man about basically any topic. Our main topic is going to be sports, but we can cover religion, food, movies, music, basically anything. And we'll provide our expertise, and we'll kind of debate about our opinions and kind of go from there.
Yeah, everybody, for those of you that don't know, Jackson has had this vision since about last Wednesday. And when Jackson puts his mind to something, he's going to get it done. So when I heard that he had really been putting some thought and effort into this, I wanted to help him make his dreams come true. And so I hope you'll watch and subscribe.
All right, so the first segment that we are going to do on the Man2Man podcast is something called Tourney Time. And this will be a recurring segment that we'll do basically every episode. But it's not your usual March Madness NCAA tournament bracket where you got college basketball teams. We are going to be doing it with random things, whether it be food, movies, whatever. Today's Tourney Time is a personal favorite of Carson's, is country music artist. So I went online and found the 16 most streamed country music artists of our decade, based on their songs, albums, or whatever like that. And I ranked them and put them in this Sweet 16 bracket. And so me and Carson kind of got to go through the bracket and give our opinions and see what our champions or what our brackets look like.
And if I can, before we get started, Jackson, I do want to say that I have a bone to pick with the tournament committee. I know sometimes when that bracket comes out in March, we've got a lot of questions about who was on the bubble, who got in, who didn't get in. Some of these seedings I have a problem with, and I will voice my opinions, make it loud and clear to the host of this show. But he did the best he could. I wouldn't expect anything less from a country music expert like Jackson Chapman.
Yeah, so expert is...
Used lightly.
Yeah, it's going to need to be put in quotations because I am not an expert. I'm not the biggest fan of country music, but first episode, I thought, why not appeal to Carson's, one of his best interests, which is country music. So here we go. First round, we got the 1 seed, Jason Aldean, versus the 16 seed, Craig Morgan. Carson, your thoughts on this matchup?
So we got Jason Aldean, who is somebody that stood the test of time. He's somebody that I listened to when I was a little kid. He's somebody that I listened to in high school and middle school, and he's still somebody that comes out with good stuff today. Jason Aldean deserves this number 1 seed. He's the type of guy that you just listen to, and ultimately you just start singing along to anything. When you listen to those old songs, they come back to you like something that you have always known how to do. It's like riding your bike. You never lose the sense of knowing what's going on in those Jason Aldean songs. So he's somebody that's definitely deserving of a number 1 seed.
Aldean's got, You Make It Easy, Got What I Got, Dirt Road Anthem, She's Country, and, everybody's favorite, Big Green Tractor.
Big Green Tractor. If you don't like Big Green Tractor... Exactly. Please go check yourself into a hospital and see some mental institution, because Big Green Tractor should be like the anthem of the United States.
I agree. I totally agree.
Play it before sports games.
I agree. Craig Morgan, 16 seed. But he's not a 16 seed to be taken lightly. Redneck Yacht Club, that's what I love about Sunday. International Harvester. International Harvester, I would say, is on that same level as Big Green Tractor.
I wouldn't go that far, but I do like the International Harvester. I love the reference to the FFA. Shout out all my FFA people listening to this podcast. International Harvester, great song, but I don't know if it is up there to the caliber of Big Green Tractor.
So yeah, 1 to 16 matchup. I'm going Jason Aldean. Carson?
I think Jason Aldean is going to take care of this. Now, this is the type of matchup that might get a little hairy in the second half. Let's remember that a 16 seed has only beaten a 1 seed one time in the NCAA tournament. So I don't think we're going to have any upsets like Virginia had a few years ago. Jason Aldean advances.
So, second matchup is the 8 and 9 seed. We got Kenny Chesney as the 8 seed and Dierks Bentley as the 9 seed. Both solid guys. They're guys that, you can listen to it anytime you want. Kenny Chesney has American Kid, Summertime, Don't Blink, Come Over. Dierks Bentley has Summer on a Beach, Drunk on a Plane, 5150, and Say You Do. So Carson, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, so Kenny Chesney, probably one of those that the girls will heartthrob over. I know my mom has loved Kenny Chesney for years. Right. I am going to go out on a limb and say that he's probably ranked too high here. I think 8 is a little too high for him. I enjoy Summertime. When the Sun Goes Down is a great song to listen to in the summertime. But I think an 8 seed may be a little too high for him here.
So Dierks Bentley, I always enjoyed Somewhere on a Beach, Drunk on a Plane, and then 5150, Somebody Called the Po-Po. That's just a catchy song.
Drunk on a Plane, you put yourself in that situation and you're thinking you're about to get married and you end up getting left, and I think he did everything that he could to get her off his mind on that plane.
So, I'm going to actually do the upset, even though it's a 9-8. I'm going Dierks Bentley here. Where are you going, Carter?
I'm going chalk. I'm gonna stay Kenny Chesney. I know I said I'm not the biggest fan of his, but Summertime and When the Sun Goes Down does it for me, and he advances.
So the 5-12 matchup, we got 5-seeded Luke Bryan and 12-seeded Brice. Now, my opinion on Luke Bryan is his songs are so repetitive. I'm just not the biggest fan of him. It's girls.
He looks good in skinny jeans, though.
He does look good in skinny jeans, but it's just girls. It's girls, beer, trucks, dirt roads, anything. That's all he's talking about. So some of his best songs, you got Crash My Party, Country Girl, That's My Kind of Night, I Don't Want This Night to End. Some good songs, but just it's not my flavor.
Yeah, Luke Bryan, I think he's one of the most well-recognized country music artists. I can see where he is deserving of a 5 seed here, but like you said, he's the type of guy that I'm not just going to turn on and listen to all the time. It may be something that I sing along to out of repetition, just because his songs are so recognizable, but he's not my first choice by any means.
So Brice, 12-seeded. Blake Boswell, if you're watching, I know you were upset with this seeding of him being 12 seed. Blake Boswell is a gigantic Brice fan. But he's got Hard to Love, I Don't Dance, Love Like Crazy, Parking Lot Party. Just some great songs that you can sing along to in the car, on the lake, anything like that. But I think in the spirit of upsets, I think I'm going to go Brice because I'm just not the biggest fan of Luke Bryan.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense here. Every year you've got a 12-5 upset that you've got to pick on your bracket, so it just makes sense. Let's go with Brice here.
4-13 matchup. We got Thomas Rhett versus Chris Young. Carson, I know you're going to see Thomas Rhett pretty soon, so why don't you go ahead and talk about Thomas Rhett real quick?
Yeah, Thomas Rhett, he's the type of guy that you just love everything about him. You know, he married his high school sweetheart. He's got adopted kids from Africa, I believe. He's a very, very good family man, writes songs about his wife. Still sells out all kinds of venues. You go to any type of arena, he's gonna be a big pull. So Thomas Rhett, like Jackson said, is somebody that I'm going to see next month in Evansville. Shout out Emily, I love you. And so I think Thomas Rhett is the clear choice here.
So yeah, I mean, 13 seed Chris Young, he's got some good songs. I'm Coming Over, Losing Sleep, Tomorrow, Who I Am With You. But I just don't think he's anywhere near the tier that Thomas Rhett is.
Now, I will say, I did go through a Chris Young phase when I was in middle school. Type of guy that I listen to when I'm in the shower. For all you that listen to music in the shower, I know that my voice has been compared to Chris Young by people that have heard me. Not the songbird of my generation, for you Step Brothers people. But Chris Young is a respectable 13 seed. I honestly think that's a little low for him. But just a tough first-round matchup. I mean, Thomas Rhett is just the people's champ. Some might say. So Thomas Rhett advances.
Now, here is my stud of the bracket. The 3-seeded Chris Stapleton over the 14-seed Jake Owen. Now, again, I mentioned in the start of the episode, I am not the biggest country guy. But you put on Chris Stapleton, and I will act like I'm from Murray, Kentucky. Tennessee Whiskey, Broken Halos, Starting Over, Parachute, Say Something, Traveler. He's got the long beard. He's got the beautiful voice. I love when he hits those high notes, but then he can also hit those low notes. And just, I don't know, something about his music just makes me feel good. I don't know.
Stapleton always has one of those very demanding voices. You hear it and you know right when the music hits, it's Chris Stapleton. I see why you like him. Love Tennessee Whiskey. He's very solid songwriter and singer, but I do think 3 seed is probably a little too high. I think your bias probably crept in a little bit.
You know what? It was biased.
I think we need to bring in some more experts to reseed this, but for the time being, Chris Stapleton, 3 seed going up against Jake Owen. I mean, it's a no contest. This game is a 15-point spread. Chris Stapleton's going to cover that easily. Stapleton advances.
Sorry, Jake Owen. Now, the most heated argument that we had before this episode was the 6-seeded Blake Shelton.
This is blasphemous, people.
Over the 11-seeded Billy Currington.
In what world is Billy Currington an 11 seed?
I'm sorry?
Billy Currington is the type of guy that you listen to when you were 5 years old, must be doing something right. You sing must be doing something right to your girlfriend or fiance, she will marry you right there on the spot. Billy Currington should at least be a 3 seed, maybe even a 2. Billy Currington, an 11 seed, is just disrespectful. He's the type of guy that gets slept on. John Morant getting under-recruited. Billy Currington is not recognized for his talents here in this bracket.
So here's the thing. I did it based on streams by artist. Now, a little bit of bias came in with Chris Stapleton. I'll admit that. But in terms of the stats, on the numbers, you know, we're going March Madness style, so I had to pull up the stats in terms of stream songs. Billy Currington was in that tier of he's good, he's just not elite.
When you find a good Billy Currington song, that sticks with you forever. And he is somebody, not very recognizable. I know he just fits right in. He's about 5'7". I missed him. I went to Cincinnati for the All-Star game, and he was doing the halftime or the pre-game concert or whatever, and I walked right by him in the hallway, didn't even know he was there. So that's probably one of my biggest regrets in life, not introducing myself to Billy Currington. But yeah, he's my guy. He's taking Blake Shelton and wearing him out.
So, you already said Billy Currington's your pick, but let me go over Blake Shelton's songs. He's just got a wide variety. You know, God's Country, God Gave Me You, Sangria, Boys Around Here, Neon Light, Doing What She Likes. You've got a wide spread, you know. God's Country, I'm thinking of that cleanup hitter in high school, big lefty boy. He's got a beer gut. He's not playing a lick of defense, but he's hitting tanks. And that's his walk-up song is, I Saw the Light. I mean, God's Country is just solid. But then you have God Gave Me You. You're singing that to your wife one day. Like, listen, Billy Currington has a song like that.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be played at weddings and everything like that. But, Jackson, are we taking into account his personal life at all? Blake Shelton, is he a model human being?
Are we sure that Billy Currington is?
Jury's still out, but he's my guy.
All right, so I'm going Blake Shelton. I know he's going Billy Currington. So that I told y'all it was going to be the most heated 6-11 matchup that we would have. So now, 7-10 matchup. I don't think this is really much of a contest, but turns in the numbers, it was. 7-seeded, Luke Combs over 10-seed Keith Urban. What's your thoughts on that?
Luke Combs, new generation country artist. He's the type of guy you don't know what you're going to get. It doesn't always look like it's going to come out pretty, but when he opens that voice, it's hard to believe that voice is behind that big gnarly beard. So Luke Combs, really solid pick here. Keith Urban, I know Cole Hauser will appreciate this. He's a little sissified when it comes to his country music.
Just a little bit. I mean, you know, Luke Combs, you listen to these top songs. Beautiful Crazy, She Got the Best of Me, When It Rains It Pours, Hurricane, Forever After All. I think Forever After All was my prom song, actually. I think that was the theme of our prom.
Really stuck with you, huh?
It really stuck with me. Keith Urban I really don't recognize any of these songs by Keith Urban.
Yeah, Cop Car, Blue Ain't Your Color. It's just too slow for me. Keith Urban, maybe a little sissy. Maybe it's that British accent. I don't know. He doesn't do it for me. Luke Combs advances.
Yeah, I agree. 7-seed Luke Combs. Now, this is one that I don't want people to pass by this. 2-seed in Morgan Wallen over 15-seed Rodney Atkins.
State your claim.
Okay, listen to these songs by 15-seed Rodney Atkins. Watching You, If You're Going Through Hell, Take a Back Road, Farmer's Daughter, Cleaning This Gun. Now, I just have vivid memories of me riding in the car with you and listening to Farmer's Daughter and Cleaning This Gun. It's vivid. Now, I understand. Morgan Wallen, solid. He's amazing. My girlfriend Melanie is obsessed with him. She loves his songs. We were on our way to Chicago, and I would hit next on the song, and she could tell me the song by Morgan Wallen in a second. So she would be upset if I didn't pick Morgan Wallen. So I'm going to pick Morgan Wallen. But Rodney Atkins is not that far off.
Now, Morgan Wallen, probably the most well-recognized country music artist of today's generation. He is one of those guys that just the consistency of what he delivers. Every album, he's got 7 and 8 songs that you can sing along to. Just continually comes out with new stuff. Probably he's somebody that you ask any country music fan what's the number one concert on their list. It's gonna be Morgan Wallen. It is. So Morgan Wallen advances. Rodney Atkins, it's a cute little 15 seed, but let's not reinvent the wheel here. The 2 seed Morgan Wallen advances.
All right, so my Elite 8 was Aldean, Dierks Bentley, Brice, the upset over Luke Bryan, Thomas Rhett, Chris Stapleton, Blake Shelton, Luke Combs, and Morgan Wallen. And what was your Elite 8?
I have Jason Aldean, Kenny Chesney, Brice, Thomas Rhett, Chris Stapleton, Billy Currington, Luke Combs, and Morgan Wallen.
All right, so let's go through this Elite Eight quicker than we went through that opening round. We just kind of had to get our opinions
Yeah,
on
you got to get it all out there.
So, Aldean over Dierks Bentley. For me, I'm going Aldean. It's Aldean. That's all I gotta say.
You gave your pick away there, Jackson. You said Aldean over Dierks Bentley. It is a matchup. It is on paper. We have to play the game.
Yes.
All right, so Aldean, let's not overthink this one. He's going to advance over Dierks Bentley. I mean, who are we kidding? Jason Aldean, just a consistent country artist. His songs come on, and you just instantly... Probably one of those guys you remember the first time you heard one of those songs from Jason Aldean.
So, the 12-4 matchup of Brice versus Thomas Rhett. Closer than people think.
We both have this?
Closer than people think, but I'm going to go Thomas Rhett. I'm going to stick with Thomas Rhett just for the sole purpose of he's got some great songs that you can sing to your wife one day.
Thomas Rhett, all-around solid dude. He's going to take care of business here. It's probably a little bit closer than people would imagine being a 4 versus 12 game. But Thomas Rhett is going to take care of business and advance to the Final Four.
So this matchup is different for both of us. So I'm Stapleton versus Blake Shelton. And you are Stapleton versus Billy Currington. So I'll go ahead and let you decide.
Stapleton and Billy Currington?
Yeah.
The 11th seed, Billy Currington, advances over Stapleton. I'm sorry. Stapleton's going to put me to sleep. I can't listen to him in any mood. Billy Currington just is unbelievable. The consistency, the way that he continues to just elaborate and tell stories through his songs. I love it. I mean, Emily can tell you, I listen to songs and I'm looking for a good story to develop. So Billy Currington takes one over Chris Stapleton.
But you saw me stab in the heart.
Hurts him.
It hurt me because
I might have to evaluate if he still wants me to be on this podcast.
I'll talk to you after the show. Stapleton over Blake Shelton. I had a man crush over Chris Stapleton in that first round. I'm going to do the same thing. Chris Stapleton, all the way, clears Blake Shelton. I think absolutely clears him. So now we're going, this is a good matchup right here. Luke Combs, 17 Luke Combs over 2-seeded Morgan Wallen. Go ahead.
This is like matching up Kentucky versus Duke in the round of 32.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. These are two heavyweights here. Part of me wants to take in to account a little bit of their personal lives. I know Morgan Wallen has gotten in trouble in the media. I know Luke Combs has a wife and is doing really well. I'm gonna stick with Morgan just because I think just the overall totality of his work. I think the quantity of his good songs outweigh that of Luke Combs, and so I'm gonna put all these personal barriers to the side, and Morgan Wallen advances to the Final Four.
So, the most comparable artist to Chris Stapleton, in my opinion, is Luke Combs in terms of their voice.
It's a great analysis.
And, sorry, being such a Chris Stapleton fan, I'm sorry, Melanie, but I'm choosing Luke Combs to upset Morgan Wallen in the Elite Eight.
Is this your upset bracket or something?
This is my pick. Luke Combs just solid all around. And I don't know. Something about Morgan Wallen's music I just can't get into, but I do love me some Luke Combs. Okay, Final Four. Mine is Aldean, Rhett, Stapleton, Combs. And yours is?
I've got Aldean versus Rhett in the top half of the bracket, and in the bottom half, I've got Currington, the 11 seed, taking on the 2 seed, Morgan Wallen.
So we both have the same matchup of Aldean versus Rhett. I think I still got to go with Aldean here. I think Big Green Tractor is just such a generational song that if that was the only song that Aldean...
It's an anthem.
If that's the only song Aldean put out there, he'd still be in the Final Four, I think, in my opinion. I know he's got Dirt Road Anthem, Got What I Got. He's got some other amazing songs. But Big Green Tractor, it just outweighs every song. So I'm going Aldean here.
I'm torn here. Aldean was probably the first country artist that I was ever introduced to. I probably started listening to country music when I was in elementary school. Jason Aldean was probably the first artist that I ever had on my iPod Touch. But Thomas Rhett, I'm going through a Thomas Rhett phase right now. I know the concert's coming up. I know I've got some friends going to that concert as well. So give me the 4-1 upset. Thomas Rhett advances to the championship round.
Wow, I respect that. So our bottom half of this Final Four is different. Mine is...
Things got crazy here.
It got crazy. Mine is Stapleton over Luke Combs, and you are Currington over Wallen, correct?
Well, yes. Currington, the 11th seed versus 2 seed.
Currington versus Morgan Wallen. So I'll let you go first. Let me hear your side right now.
Yeah, I'm torn. I think it's pretty clear how I feel about Billy Currington at this point in the ball game. Morgan Wallen, I allowed his personal issues to overtake Luke Combs in the second round. But you know what? I'm gonna have to stick with my guns. Billy Currington advances to the championship round. Billy Currington, the 11th seed. He's the type of guy who is just a model citizen. I'm gonna go out and say it. I have no idea. I have no idea about Billy Currington's personal life.
In your Chris Collinsworth with a here's this guy.
Here's a guy. This guy. Well, Billy Currington is this guy. He might be him. Jury's still out. He advances to the championship round to take on Thomas Rhett.
I respect it. What was South Carolina an 11 seed that got to the Final Four that one year?
Are you talking about when they beat Duke?
Yes.
I just have to throw that out there for all you Duke fans.
Well,
I believe they were 10 seed.
10 seed.
Okay. Darius Thornwell.
Yes. Okay. I thought you might have matched up the 11 seeds going to the Final Four. So mine, this is tough. Stapleton over Luke Combs. I said they're both very comparable. Both have some gnarly beards. But in terms of a guy that I listen to more as a non-country fan, it's got to be Chris Stapleton. I just got to choose him. I listened to his last album on repeat. And I don't do that for country.
No, you do not.
I do not. You know me. I do not. And I will.
We don't want to talk about who introduced you to Chris Stapleton, do we? Maybe a different podcast.
Different podcast. But I'm going to go with Chris Stapleton over Luke Combs. Even though Luke Combs, he's up there for me. I do enjoy me some Luke Combs. But that's my pick. So,
Who's your championship round?
Aldean versus Stapleton, and you are?
I've got the 4 seed Thomas Rhett versus the 11 seed Billy Currington. I went chalk early and it got a little crazy late.
So I'll go first for my championship game. Aldean, like I said, Big Cream Tractor. I think outweighs every single song on this list. But if I have a number 2, it's Tennessee Whiskey. And
so you're torn.
I'm torn right now. Aldean has just been consistent. His older songs are still good. Got What I Got was more recent.
I've never listened to Got What I Got.
You know the song. Okay. But Stapleton's, Tennessee Whiskey, Parachute, Broken Halos, these are all off different albums. Starting Over, just all off different albums. And if I'm going with my guy...
your heart rate doesn't get above 40 when you're listening to Chris Stapleton.
That's the point.
Are you really going to listen to that with a group of people in your car? When you turn on Billy Currington or Thomas Rhett in the car, everybody's going to start singing.
You're telling me you don't sing Tennessee Whiskey at the top of your lungs?
You are as smooth.
Thank you. You proved my point. Chris
Tennessee Whiskey.
Champion. Chris Stapleton is my champion in this bracket.
Chris Stapleton, wow, from the 3 seed. You know what? I've gone too far. This would be like a Murray State team who lost 2 games in the regular season, winning the OVC, getting a good draw, making it all the way to the Final Four. Will they do it? They do. Billy Currington takes over.
Wow.
Thomas Rhett. Billy Currington, the most underrated country music singer of all time, according to this bracket. If he's an 11 seed, he's the most underrated of all time. I'm sticking with my guy, Billy. I love you. You take the championship.
Wow. So I'm Stapleton, and he's Billy Currington. Great first segment on Man2Man podcast. So with our second segment here on the Man2Man podcast, we're going to talk about fantasy football. And me and Carson are in the same league called Dirty Dozens. Shout out to Lofton Pig, the commissioner of this league. But I'm in 8. I'll repeat that, ladies and gentlemen. 8 fantasy football leagues. But this is the one that holds the most priority to me. This was a $50 buy-in?
50 or 75?
50, something like that. What about you? Where does this priority-wise in your fantasy football team ranks?
This is still probably going to be my number 2 fantasy league. I learned a long time ago that you don't need to be in any more than 2 fantasy leagues. So I don't know how Jackson pays attention on Sunday morning when he's got 8 teams to manage.
It's hard.
It's just a big commitment.
It's difficult.
Big commitment. A lot of liability out there. A lot of room for error. And I don't know about you guys, but when I'm watching on Sunday, I want to be cheering on my guys. So if I've got guys in 8 leagues, then I might be playing against them in 6. So when I've only got 2 teams to cheer for, I have a pretty good idea about what's going on. I know which guys to cheer for, and I'm the coach. I'm their owner. Right. I'm their GM. I'm holding a lot on these fantasy players, and so I care a lot about them. I want to take good care of them. We'll make sure I'm playing them to the best of their ability, and I think my team needs a little pep talk heading into week 4.
So, yes, in our league, the Dirty Dozen League, I am 3-0.
Number 1 seed.
Number 1 seed right now.
Top priority league for him, and he's number 1 seed.
So, my dogs. Josh Allen. I picked him 2nd round. Carson called me stupid for that. I'm not going to lie. He thought I reached.
I've been burned by a quarterback early too many times. This was the first year in a while that I've decided to wait on a quarterback.
And it bit you. It bit you. Who's your quarterback?
I'm rocking Matthew Stafford right now. Not a great start to the year. I think he's still dealing with a little elbow injury. Got absolutely lit up week 1. Probably took 7 or 8 sacks. And then didn't have a good week this week either. Got a lot to think about moving forward with quarterback situation because my next guy is Carson Wentz.
Ooh. I don't even think I have a backup quarterback. I put that much stock in Josh Allen. So here's the thing about this league. Me and Carson, I think.
Hold up. You got Josh Allen in this league.
Yes.
You said Justin Herbert.
I meant Josh Allen. Did I say Justin Herbert?
I think he said Justin Herbert. We'll have to check the tape.
I don't. We'll see. But here's the thing. I think me and Carson pulled off the biggest trade in this league so far. I sent him Dalvin Cook, Josh Jacobs, and Keenan Allen, correct?
That's right.
And you sent me Michael Thomas, Jalen Waddle, Jeff Wilson Jr., and Miles Sanders?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 4 for 3. I was really trying to sell high on Mike Thomas. He looks like he's going to have a great season. I might have misevaluated Jalen Waddle. I thought Jalen Waddle was going to be splitting a lot of targets with Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill had mid-teens targets in week 1, and while Jalen Waddle still got a touchdown that week, I still wanted to move on from him, and I was trying to bolster my running back committee as I've got A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, got the whole Packers backfield there, and I really wanted to have Dalvin Cook supplement them.
So I think my biggest worry right now is at my tight end position, and that's
Who's your tight end?
It's Darren Waller, and that's a guy that you think, wow, that's a stud. You got a stud tight end, but he has just not produced this year.
Ravens are in a lot of dysfunction right now.
Raiders.
What did I say, Ravens?
Ravens.
Yeah. Raiders are in a lot of dysfunction right now. Josh McDaniels, I saw something yesterday. I think he's 1-11, 1-10 in his last handful of games as a coach. That's not something you want to hang your hat on. So I don't know if he's ruined Darren Waller. I don't know if he's ruined Derek Carr. But one thing's for sure, that the Raiders are in trouble, and you might be right to worry about Darren Waller moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, my receivers are solid, Waddle and Thomas. And then running backs are a little iffy with Sanders and Jeff Wilson.
You're starting them? And you're 3-0?
And I'm 3-0. Hey, Josh Allen, put that backpack on, and he does. And he does it well.
What, Josh Allen throw like 60-something passes on Sunday?
I mean, I think
they ran 90 plays.
I think he almost threw 70
90
passes.
plays and lost.
I think he almost threw 70 passes and lost. I mean, he's just that dude. So Carson, you're 1-2. What's got to change?
I love my roster. I'll go out and say it. I think I've got too many guys that need playing time. When I look at my running backs, like I said, I'm controlling the Packers backfield, and I've got Dalvin Cook. That's pretty solid. That's somebody that I can build around. I got Jamar Chase, who's been a letdown since week 1. I'm rolling with Keenan Allen, who's been hurt ever since I got him in week 2, so I'm hoping he comes back this week and is able to contribute. Starting to worry about Dawson Knox a little bit. I'm starting to think that Josh Allen is going to be just peppering Stephon Diggs with targets. Devin Singletary's going to catch balls out of the backfield.
Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis.
Isaiah McKenzie has grabbed a couple touchdowns at the start of the year.
Absolutely. So I'm worrying that Dawson Knox may not be the red zone threat that I was hoping he would be. So that's an issue part for me. Like I said, I'm right now quarterback by committee just based on matchups. Hoping one of those guys clicks because the waiver wire. I'm not starting Marcus Mariota.
No,
I'm not picking up Marcus Mariota and playing him. So I'm gonna roll with Stafford. Dude finished like 7th in fantasy points last year, so I'm hoping he can turn it around and find some success. Right now, like I said, I think I just got too many good guys. My roster is too good to be 1-2. So I'm hoping this week turns it around. Got a big Thursday night game coming up, Dolphins and Bengals. So I'm hoping for a big night from Jamar Chase and the boys.
So, last thing we'll say about this is, in this league, our dad is also in it. He's won the championship, and he has won the championship in this league.
That's right.
Little brother's ready to go. He wants his title, and our championship trophy is just so beautiful. It's just like it reminds me of a national tournament or a national championship trophy. We got a black trophy case, and it's got the past winners on it. It's beautiful. I'm ready for it to say Jackson Chapman 2022 winner?
Well, I'm sorry. I think you're going to have to wait. I can look into my crystal ball and look in the future. My boys are going to turn it around. We're going to get rolling the rest of the season. It starts this week. Keenan Allen's healthy. He's going to play. Jamar Chase is going to do his thing. The Packers' backfield is going to dominate. And when we figure out this quarterback position, we're going to be ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Man2Man podcast. I'm very excited to get this going with Carson. Me and Carson could talk for days. So we had to shorten this a little bit to about 30-something minutes. Thank you for listening. We're going to try to do at least one per week. Might try to roll out 2. We'll see. But thank you again for listening. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Like and subscribe.
That's right.